So like today, I was trying something new. I set it up. I set up the event beforehand. So I put it at 4 o'clock. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we are live now. So we'll go ahead and I appreciate you calling in, and we're gonna go ahead and get to part
Yeah,
two.
no problem, no problem.
And
All right.
last time we spoke, we left off at you had just got out of you had what was it? You had gone to camp, and then you were like 17 years and a half. You
Mm-hmm.
17 year old, 17 and a half, and
Uh-huh.
you had been out for like about a year and a
Yep.
half, and then you ended up picking up
Yeah.
your a case. So we'll go ahead and take it off or pick it up from there.
All right. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, 18, uh, I don't know, probably about 18 and a half when I got to prison, and so I arrived to North Kern State Prison, which is Old Delano. That's what it's called. Back in August 11th of 2000. So I trip out because I have some of the reports and stuff from like my in chronological order from when I arrived from one institution to another, and I got that from my murder case. And it's crazy looking back at it right now. I'm looking at it and it's just lines and it's lines on a page and a sheet of when I got here and there, and I'm looking at it like, man, there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of pain, everything that's tied into this piece of paper right here, and so I think last time we spoke, I talked about when I first pulled up to the prison, and what it was like to see an institution like that, a prison, for the first time, and it's just you don't really expect it. Um, you don't expect it until you see it. There's no way to really put it into words until you see it. What a prison looks like when you're driving up to it. And maybe it's different when you're an outside person, kind of passing by a prison. But when you're on that bus, I remember when I left the county jail, and I was on that bus and I was chained to somebody else, and it's a rough ride, man. There's no seat cushions, there's nothing like that. So we're pushing up past the grapevine, and to me, I've been living in Southern California, my whole life at this time. So when I'm pushing up past the grapevine and Magic Mountain, I'm like, damn, I'm going up north. This is the north to me. I know it's still considered Southern California or Central Valley, but I'm like, damn, I could be in freaking Oregon as far as I'm concerned. It was just no man's land for me. So we're going through all these fields, and there's just orchards everywhere, and a lot of there's a lot of groves and all that stuff. So finally, out of nowhere, man, here's this prison. So it's crazy because I think about it and I'm looking at it, and you just see the stadium lights and the way that it's all sprawled out, and you get closer, you start to see the buildings, and you just see like it just looks like, I don't know, man. It looks almost like artistic, man. It's like a man, it's a crazy experience to see for the first time as an 18-year-old, and when them gates open and you pull in, and you're just like you're like cattle walking into that place. So R&R, there's a place that when you first get to, it's called R&R, and R&R stands for receiving and release. So that's basically where people are going to get released from, and where intake happens. So R&Rs are like a little, it's like you feel like you're like cattle getting pushed through R&R, and I was surprised
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
when I walked in. I was wearing an orange jumpsuit, so I pull up and there's an officer right there, and they're used to this shit, and that they're just kind of like just whatever. This is like one of the craziest days of my life, and this motherfucker just looking at me like, look, man, all your clothes, take them off, put them in this trash can. And they have a trash can with a trash bag, and there's people before me, and I'm seeing they're stripping out. And I'm like, all right, well, they're gonna leave us in our boxers, and I'm not really tripping on that. And hell no, I see the boxers come off, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like, so it's happening, and I'm seeing people walk pretty far. So I walk up and I throw all my shit in this trash can, and they're like, walk over there and see that person. And so I'm like, damn, it's like a good 20 feet of walking. And I remember I was nervous, man. I'm looking up, I'm trying to look straight ahead, and there's just a row of people, right? There's a row of people, and I'm like, damn, they're like, stopped. I'm still in the row, and there's like 20 of us just standing there naked, right? And they're like, everybody look forward. So we all look forward. And then you got this motherfucker walking by with a giant mag light, right? He tells everybody bend over, and he's just flashing our asses with this mag light, right? And it's so crazy how it happens. You're just like, damn, what the fuck? Where am I at? And then so everybody gets up. Everybody gets up, and it's just like, damn, did you just experience that? This is insane what just happened right now. And it's so then they take us to they hand us our clothes and we still can't get dressed. We have to walk around this giant counter and there's just people there working there. There's nurses, females, and you know, we walk around this giant counter and I'm right there holding my bundle, you know, trying to cover my private parts, you know, with my bedroll. And then you see these, like, remember, this is 18-year-old me, you know, and so you see these seasoned vets, right? And they don't give a fuck, man. These dudes are walking down, they're tattooed, and I'm noticing, I'm like, these motherfuckers got tattoos everywhere. these dudes have been doing this their whole life, you know, and they're just cruising like this is just the most normal thing in the world. So we go into this cage and we start getting dressed, man. I'm getting dressed all fast, you know, and I'm like, damn, you know, that was crazy how that happened. So that's when you start seeing the COs for the first time, you know. And I remember that before the last time we talked, I described the COs. They were just them dudes were they're built for some shit, man. Them dudes got so much gear on. They got chains. They got fucking pepper spray strapped to their legs. Some of them got fire extinguisher pepper sprays strapped around their back. They got freaking block guns. These motherfuckers are ready for battle, you know. They look like they can go through any type of battle the way that they look, man. They got vests on, bulletproof vests, and so I'm tripping out on these dudes, you know. They look like militant motherfuckers, you know, that are running R&R. And a lot of stuff happens in R&R because they don't really know who's who. You're getting processed through. You know, I'm general population. You know, at this time, I don't have any reason not to be general population. I don't even know what the hell, like, growing up in the system, you know, what PC was or SNY and all that other shit. And it wasn't like a popular thing back then. This is GP. This is what it is. You know, no matter where you come from, unless you got some funny shit, you're going to the main line. So they're putting you around dudes that are there for murder and whatnot, and they're gonna situate everybody later. So I'm just chilling, man, and that's one of the first times where they gave me a tray. I remember in R&R, I'll never forget this, man. They gave me R&R. They gave me a tray in R&R, and I remember there was like a little Kool-Aid pack. In the meal, I was like looking at this shit, like, how am I supposed to eat this? You know, like they don't give you no spoon, they don't give you nothing like that. You know, you just get a tray for dinner, and tripping out on it because I don't know. I start just grabbing shit and eating it because I'm pretty hungry, you know. And I got this little Kool-Aid pack, this little juice pack, you know, and I'm looking at it like, how the hell am I supposed to drink this, you know? And it just, I don't know, it just looks crazy looking. So I asked the CO, you know, the correction officer, I said, hey, excuse me, sir, is there something I could put this in? And he just looked at me like I was the dumbest kid in the world asking him that question. Like, are you serious? You're going to waste my time asking me how to drink a damn Kool-Aid pack, you know? And so I remember he's like, look, man, this your first term? I told him, yeah. He goes, look, man, you're in prison now. You're going to have to learn to improvise. And I remember I thought about that shit, like, damn. So I'm going to have to improvise all the way down to my Kool-Aid pack, you know, how to take a drink of this motherfucker, you know. So, boom, I was in the halls and stuff like that before, so I was like, fuck it. So I just popped it open, threw it on an empty part of my tray, threw some water on it from the sink, stirred it around with my finger, and boom, took a drink, you know. That was my first experience of improvising, you know, drinking this damn Kool-Aid pack. So I sit in R&R for hours, man. It takes for them to classify us, and next thing you know, they're calling our name, and I'm off to a dorm. And my first term, I was level 1. I came for manufacturing methamphetamine, and I got 3 years with half. So I wasn't really there to do too much time. So I didn't really know the difference. I looked at every single turn and every single person that I met as they were like a freaking serial killer. You know, these motherfuckers are like, yeah, I looked at it like it was just danger around every turn. And these cops, man, they're not like the cops that are in CDCR today. These cops, like in the early 2000s, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
yeah, these cops were assholes, man. I'm gonna call back right now. Call back.
Okay, go for it.
I'll call back.
All right, so if it seems kind of short, more less than 15 minutes, that's because we were talking on the phone for a few minutes before we went live. So he should be calling us back shortly, and he'll go ahead and continue with his story. And for those of you that have been following his story, you know, or are new to his story, and didn't catch part 1, if you go to playlist and you look him up under David, you'll find his first interview, which pretty much was him going through his childhood.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David. Lopez.
An inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, you're on.
All right. All right. Yeah. So I walk into this dorm, man, and I'm tripping out because there's beds everywhere. And they kind of look similar to the way the beds were set up in juvenile hall, in the dorms. So it's just a lot of people, man. And I'm just noticing that there's 2 stories, And then another thing I noticed was the shower, And in juvenile hall, the shower's open too. Like they just tell you, like you don't have a choice of when you shower in juvenile hall. Like there is a time that you're gonna shower, and you're gonna get your ass in there. You're gonna shower, Or you're gonna get fucked up by the staff, and they're gonna put you down the hall into like a little ISO, the TGR unit. So that's the only crazy part is I noticed that there's an open shower, but it's like, damn, you still got to shower with a gang of people, It's like, damn, this is even crazier, This is like it was like a center little it was like a giant pipe coming out of the ground, and then there were shower nozzles that went all around it in a 360-degree angle. So there's like probably like 5 shower nozzles just coming out of different areas, and everybody just gets in there and just does your thing. So I'm like, man, fuck, I got my boxers. I'm showering with my boxers on, I'm all nervous. I'm trying to that shit sucked, man. I remember. So good thing at that time, I stayed out of trouble in reception at that time, and I got transferred out to it's called CSATF, which is a new Corcoran. So it's translated to the California Substance Abuse Treatment Facility and State Prison. So I was there to go to the level 1, which is like it was called the Phoenix House, and I get there to this place, man, and I'm tripping out because remember this is the first prison yard that I seen, So I walk. I'm 19 now. I turned 19 in reception, so I get there to Sat F. We all call it Sat F. I get there to Sat F, and when I walked into the yard, I'm tripping out on the fish kit they gave me. They gave me like a bag, and they got some shower shoes, and I think it had some tobacco in there at that time, like a little thing of like Tops or Bugle or something. Back then we could smoke in here, and give me just a few items, And I was tripping out. I got this big old jumpsuit on, so I walked to the yard, and in those days when you walked into the yard, it seemed like the whole damn place was standing at the fence waiting to see who got there. So that was pretty intimidating. I walk into the yard. They open up 2 gates, and I'm seeing these motherfuckers. I know what they are now, they're a gang of dudes that were just like they were staying out of trouble to be on that yard. But to me, I thought they were like freaking the Pinteros of the year. They got big old mustaches, and they got tattoos everywhere. They got their big blue jackets on with like 3 buttons, and the rest of it.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I'm seeing these dudes, right? And I'm like, damn, I'm out of my league, like I fucked up, coming to prison. Like these dudes are different. These dudes look like hardened motherfucking criminals, man. And I'm just a kid, and they're all old, In the juvenile system, they're not really that old. Gray hair and stuff like that. So I go in and I get situated, and I want to get a haircut. I remember this is another thing too. So I go into the housing unit. I unpack my stuff. I meet they put me in a five man cubicle. And it's with a locked door, and there were some characters in there, man. Like later on in my prison time, when I actually when I was actually just with my bullshit, I would have got off on every single one of those motherfuckers, So I met them, but I still looked at them like they were like they were out of my league and shit like that. So I pretty much just listened to them and what they advised me to do. So I go to one of these guys, and he's like, hey, he's a barber. So I remember I asked him, I was like, hey man, can I get a haircut? And he's like, well, how do you want to cut your hair? And I said, well, I want a fade. I want a cool little fade. I've been wearing a fade since I was younger. And he's like, a fade? He goes, why are you going to get a fade? He goes, only norteños get fades. And I was like, damn, like, fuck you mean? So I started getting mad. I started thinking about that scared kid, like fighting over the leva bed, And I'm thinking, damn, I'm going to let this old motherfucker disrespect me and like basically call me, I was from Southern California. I'm not going to mention no names or nothing like that, but the fact of the matter is, it's obvious in prison. There's North, Central, and South. That's just what it is. And I'm from the South, so I felt disrespected by this dude. He's an old Mexican dude. Like, what do you mean? What are you calling me, a Northerner? And so I had like I said something to him like, "What's cracking, dog? You know, like you disrespected me," and I can tell that he looked at me like I was just nuts, you know, like what the fuck this kid tripping on, you know? So he didn't do nothing, and I didn't do nothing, but that kind of like didn't sit well with me. So I ended up meeting some dudes from my area. That's how prison is. You get there, when you walk into a yard, you look around and you look for tattoos. That's what it is. Um, a lot of people they put big ass tattoos on them. It's just identifying marks. So you're gonna see dudes with giant fucking letters on them, giant numbers. You're gonna see the 13s. You're gonna see the 14s. You're gonna see stuff like that. So you're gonna know who's from the south and who's from the north immediately by the ink. And there's certain styles that are we know, you know, like you can tell the cholos from East LA. You could just see them, you know, you could just see the difference. A lot of the guys from the north, they have long hair. So right away you kind of like, they're not the first people you really go up to. The guys with the long hair, you kind of go up to the guys with the bald heads and stuff like that. You could just tell, you know. So I went up to some youngsters. I seen he had a 1-3 on him, and I started just talking to him. And then he introduced me to some dudes that were from the area I grew up in. And so right off the bat, I have allies now. They're like, "Oh, you're a little homie. You're from the area. You know, you're from so-so, and you know." So we were able to make connections pretty quick. Um, so they took me under their wing. They're like, "Look, man, we could tell you don't know what the fuck you're doing." So they kind of guided me and they started teaching me a few things. So I was there. Let me see. I can look at this paper right now. So I got there in August. So the next May, that was August. So I stayed there all the way till May. And by the time May came around, I knew I was done. Like I was just didn't want to be on that yard no more. And I was already kicking it with the youngsters. And I was already like, I was kind of like feeling it and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this ain't the place to be, you know. And by this time, time didn't really matter to me. Like it didn't matter to me that picking up extra time would mean I would have to stay in prison longer. Like I was actually like comfortable where I was, and you know I was still kind of exploring this, you know. So I mean, as crazy as that sounds, but yeah, in May of the following May, that my homies came up to me. They're like, "Look, we're out of here." And it was two of them, and I was like, "What do you mean you're out of here?" They're like, "Yeah, we're out of here. Fool. We've been on this yard too long anyway. We're gonna go with the homies on the other yards." Well, I didn't know what that meant at that time, and so they told me, "Yeah." I told them, "Well, how the fuck are you gonna get out of here?" They're like, "Well, we're gonna hit somebody." And I was tripping on that, you know. I was like, "Damn, well, I don't know what that means," you know. Like I don't know. They're like, "Yeah, just um, we want to ask you if you want to go with us because we don't want to leave you behind. You're the little homie and shit. And realistically, this ain't where you're gonna get your. They call it klecha. This ain't like your schooling. This ain't where you're gonna get your klecha, man. These fools right here, they're on some funny shit. Let's bounce." So I was like, "Fuck it," you know. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I didn't really care to be honest with you. I was pretty impulsive at that time. So they told me, well, I told them what I got to do. They're like, "Look, this dude right here, we found bad paperwork on him, and which means that he was there. He was in prison for like something that was unfavorable, something that was like not good, you know. And now we question shit like that. You know, if someone says, "Oh, they got that paperwork," well, where'd you get it from? How do you know? You know, there's a lot of things that go into something like that. But at that time, I was like, all right, well, the homie says this is what it is. This is what it is. So I asked them what I had to do. They're like, "Well, your job is to make sure that he doesn't get out of the cell." Because they were closed door cubicles. They locked. So I remember that I was like, "Fuck it." So I dressed like a cliche prison hit, you know, uniform, which is state boots, state pants, blue jacket, blue shirt, buttoned up, blue beanie on. We even put the little rubber band behind the beanie to make it tighter, you know, on our on our heads, you know. And like that's just when you see motherfuckers walking on a prison yard and that's how they look, um, you better get the fuck out of their way because they're gonna go get somebody, you know, because that means that all their shit's already packed and they're in all state stuff. So when the cops get you or whatever happens, it's just stay closed anyway. So that's how. So boom, I figured, okay, this is how I gotta look. This is how the homies look. I'm gonna look just like them. So when they went in the cell, I was tripping out because I remember the guy was laying in bed and they ran up to him and they had D-sized batteries and socks. So I remember the first hit, my boy, he swung the sock around and he caught the dude in the back of the head. He caught him fucking like, man, that shot could have killed him. He hit him that hard in the back of the head, and then that fool flew awake. And then the other guy came with the other one, and he hit him in the front of the face, and blood just shot, man, like it shot crazy. So It shot all over the wall. It shot all over the place. And this motherfucker started fighting, and they were letting up. They weren't letting up on him, man. They were on him, you know. So I'm like, I'm tripping out, like, oh fuck, you know. So this dude, he runs at me, and he sees me at the door, and I'm not involved at that point, you know. He doesn't know that I'm there to keep him in the cell, so he runs in my direction, thinking that I'm gonna just let him go by, and I shoved him and I pushed him, and he flew backwards, all surprised, and he fell, and then they jumped on him again. So then I jumped on him to hold him down. Yeah, they got him, man, and I thought he was gonna die because it looked like he went out, you know, and there was blood everywhere. It was crazy. So he ends up getting like a burst of energy, throws all three of us off of him somehow. I don't know what the hell where that came from, but we went flying, and he took off, man. So he runs to the cops where the cops were at the podium. They don't know none of this is happening, and he just eats shit head first into the podium, and just blood's everywhere, and the cop fucking freaks out. They hit their button, and me, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get the fuck out of the cell. So I run out of the cell, and I slid a good 6-7 feet on this dude's blood all the way to the bar. Like literally just slid across the whole tier and like almost like hit the rail. And then I ran towards the shower because I was like, I got this dude's blood all over me. So I ran in the shower. I tried to wash off. That just made it worse. The blood went all over my fucking, like just everywhere. So I went in my cell. My homies went in their cell. And my Shellies are looking at me like, what the fuck? Like I'm just there covered in blood, you know, fucking I'm in a sink. I got blood all over the sinks now. It's just a giant mess, right? They're terrified. They're like, what the fuck just happened, you know? So it don't take long to get us. So we're gaffled. They went and got the homies first. Like they seen them, or I don't know, but they went right to their cell, and they have a pair of state blues like clogged the toilet. The toilet won't even work no more because they tried to flush their clothes. And there's this guy. They were just sitting on the bunk just eating something when the cops came for them. Like they knew they were fucked, you know. So me, I tried to like hide shit, and they went in there. They busted me. So anyway, I'm gone. We're gone for that. So that's a serious assault, man. They charged me with battery. They talked about getting us for attempted murder, but they ended up getting us for battery with a weapon. And I'm going to the hole. So I'm going to the hole with my boys. So when I get there, this is the crazy part, right? Because I never. This is prison. This is prison. This is ATSEG. This is ATSEG in prison. Still young. You know, this is May of 2001, so I'm still 19. Because I don't turn 20 until September, you know. So yeah, it's still May of 2001. So still 19 years old. So I'm walking to the hole and I'm tripping out because my adrenaline, you know, my body's shaking because that was a lot of adrenaline, and I've been in a holding cell all day, and they strip us out. We're in boxers, and now we're walking. We're going down. We're off that yard, so we're going right. So the first time that I walked up to an ATSEG unit, I'll never forget that, man. That was like pulling up to a prison where we just seen it. You're just like, damn, what the fuck is this, you know? So I'm like probably 20 feet, 30 feet away from the building's entrance, and I could hear the yelling. You know, I could hear it. Like, we go in the yard, and during those days, even now, ATSEG is loud, man. Like, the hole is fucking loud. Like, all motherfuckers do all day and all night is yell. They just scream, yell all day. So you can hear it. You can hear it when you're walking up. And I tripped out because when the officers walked in, they had to put us in these cages, and boom, we're stripped out again. They take all our clothes, we're asshole naked again, and they give us ADSEG clothes. And I'm noticing that the cops, they're different there. They got face shields on. They're like they got big ass, like the bulletproof vests that they have. They're out there, man. They're big. You know, you can't walk on the ADSEG tier without a face shield and a bulletproof vest. You know, so I'm tripping out because I'm like, damn, what are they freaking trying to protect themselves from? You know, and so I'm noticing, I'm looking around, and I'm like, damn, there's sheets everywhere. It looked like a spider web, because in that state you don't come out of the cell. You know, you don't. The hour a day shit that everybody talks about. Oh, you get an hour a day out. Like that's in a good ATSEG. You know, the ATSEGs that I was in for a long time, like you didn't get that hour a day. They were supposed to give you an hour a day, but so many people were going to the hole, they put us in overflow buildings. And the guys who were like known and connected, like they got the good places in that city where they had the yards. Like us, the runts that were like level ones and stuff like that at that time, they put us in overflow buildings, and we didn't have yard.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I did all my shoe terms during that term. I did those shoe terms with no yard at all, no hour a day. You know, so I'm gonna call back right now.
Okay, perfect. We'll be here waiting for you. All right, and while we wait for him to give us a call back, I want to definitely give a shout out to Fish Slayer SoCal. for dropping that 4.99, and then also Elias Man for dropping that super chat and dropping that $10. Really appreciate that. Um, we just went ahead and we just hit the first, the first step of the of being monetized. Actually, it was like maybe like 2 3 weeks ago, but I hadn't got around to setting it up or whatever. So I went ahead and did it a few days ago. So I got the email saying that that we hit the first step. So now the next phase is gonna be to get up to that 1,000. So if, whenever it happens, it happens. I'm in no hurry for it to occur. So
This call
This
is
is
now being
Global
recorded.
Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Link.
All right.
all right, we're
So
on.
yeah, so I'm noticing about the acid again. Like I said, like we're not coming out. Like even when you come out of the cell, like when you get to the other ad takes, like the regular they're called ASUs and stuff like that, administrative segregation units. You're still doing most of your time in the cell. At this time, I was doing 24 hours a day in the cell. So was everybody else. So when our arms and our legs are sheets, like it's called fishing. So if you need to get something, like they're pretty big. So if you need to get something like some coffee, like you don't got shit when you get there. You don't get during those days you didn't get your property for a long time, man. A lot of us when we were young and stuff like that, we didn't really have a lot of property and a lot of store like that. So when you get there, you're hungry, man. You ain't got shit. So you gotta hit up like your homies. You find them who you're affiliated with, and boom, they want to see why you're in the hole. So you carry a 114 with you, which is it's called a lockup order that the staff give you while you're in the hole to make sure that you're not locking it up and you're not PC or nothing like that. So you have to do that. So the first thing you got to do is kind of tear your sheets up, and you make a fishing line and you make something to make it slide down the tier with. Like when you don't have nothing, you got to use part of your soap and you put it in like a little like wrapper or something like that and tie it and just throw it as far as you can, and everybody connects you. They connect you all the way down the tier. So in these days, like the cops, they weren't really tripping on fishing lines. Like I tripped out when I was going to my cell. Like we were going under some. There was some that they got over the tier. It blew my mind the first time I see somebody get a line from under the door, back up over a rail on the top and down to a cell below them. I was like, dude, how the fuck did they do that? Like I was just tripping on that, and we were just going around the line, stepping over them, and it was just the whole place was like a damn spider web of fishing lines. So the first time they closed that door behind me, remember I had only done like 24 hours at a time. I spent time in the security units for the ones for like the kids going to YA and stuff like that. I spent time in those cells, but we came out a little bit. We interacted. We went to school, and we were like a controlled little environment. But this was the first time that when the door closed behind me, it was not opening at all. So and then I'm coming up on the top bunk. I'm younger, so I ended up cellies with one of my homies, one of my crimies on that incident. So I'm on the top bunk and he's on the bottom bunk. That's how it works when you're young like that. Like it's what it is. So there's no such thing as the live up bed or nothing like that. Like the person with more seniority, the person that's been there longer, the older homie, like it's out of respect. Everything's out of respect at that point. There's people that fight for the bottom bunk. Like you're just like I've been in cells like that where you just gotta come into the hole. You don't know who you're in there with. Shit's on the floor, but like, look, man, I'm getting the bottom bunk. I'm getting the bottom bunk, and they're like, I ain't giving you the bottom bunk. So you know what the time it is. One of you motherfuckers is gonna get the bottom bunk. And and so there's been situations that happen like that down the line. But that's when I was real entitled and I was real arrogant at that point. But yeah, that was later on. So I'm on the top bunk and I'm just sitting here and I'm looking around and there's lockers, like the cells have lockers. They're real small, but there's a locker, and we have our stuff in there. Like right now, I got my clothes in my locker. I got some food and some paperwork and hygiene and shit. But this locker, all I had was a piece of paper. I had my 114, my lockup order was right there. I had a balled up piece of fishing line. I had like a couple of relish packs, Like I didn't have shit. I didn't have no coffee. I didn't have no cup. And I was just thinking, damn. I remember what that cop told me: improvise. If you want something, you're gonna have to figure out how to make it. You don't got nowhere to hang your clothes and nothing like that. So um, it was just one of those. It was one of those things where you have to kind of figure out what you're gonna do. So you don't even got a book. So it's just you and your thoughts, and all you and your celly, you start telling stories, and those get old real quick when you're talking all day, and you're just like, man, I'm done talking to this motherfucker. And so we just sit there by ourselves, and it just becomes something like, man. So the first day happens, the second day goes by, it's the same shit, man. You wake up in the morning to what, wake up and stare at the ceiling. You go through my celly told me that I gotta roll my mattress up, and I had never heard of that before. I'm like, damn, I gotta roll my mat up. So I roll my mat up all day, I put it in like a little couch, and keep it all freaking perfect looking, and everything just looks perfect in there, but there ain't shit to do. You know, I'm just sitting there with my thoughts. So the second day goes by. The third day, and they shower you every 72 hours. And then I learned about bird bathing. Like bird bathing, like you're not gonna go 3 days without a shower. That's unacceptable. So you have to figure out how you're gonna shower in the cell.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So that's how we do it. We bird bath. So bird bathing is basically, for the listeners that don't know, we plug our sink and we fill it up with water, and it's little, and we just use like a milk carton or something, and that's how we take our shower. You ain't got nothing to block, so your celly just faces the wall, and then there's a window in there, but that's painted over so you can't see out. So when your celly's bird bathing, you just pretty much just turn around on the desk, and your celly does what he got to do. Just water all over the floor. You gotta tear your towel in half because they don't give you extra towels like that. So part of your towel got to get torn in half so you can clean up the water. So I was actually looking forward to the bird baths, because I had nothing to do. I get up and I'm not really with all that. Like I wasn't with the workout stuff at that time. I was more like I just was just getting up, just go about my business, do a couple push-ups here and there. But my celly was like, "Look, man, you're in ATSIG. You're gonna have to learn to work out, because it's gonna help with your mental health." So he had been to the hole before, so he told me that just physical exercise is important. So we started getting ourselves into a workout routine and things like that. So then I noticed the shower. They take us to the shower. We gotta get handcuffed. We can't come out the cell without handcuffs and shit. So we got to go to the shower. It's two people to one shower, so it's the same thing. Your celly faces the bars, and you go use the shower real quick, and it's the same thing. So yeah, that repeated for a while. Well, my situation for that first hit, they didn't really know how to classify me because I got battery with the weapon, but the victim talked, and a few other people talked and said, well, I held the guy down. Well, two other guys got him. So they didn't really know how to classify it. So I 602'd it, which is I appealed my ADSEG placement, and they released me. So I get out of the hole. By the grace of God, kicked me out. They sent me to a level 2 yard, and I loved it, man. But that didn't go well there. I was back in the hole probably 17 days later for a riot. There was a riot happening between the North and the South, and I was in the middle of it. I was young, I wanted to I jumped. I did what I had to do and shit, and I got fucked up in that riot pretty good. I got my ass beat, and I was involved with a few riots, in my time in prison, and I had a real bad tendency to run right where everybody was fighting, and 9 times out of 10 I run into where they're usually jumping my people. So yeah, I did the same thing, man. I ran into a bunch of Mexicans fighting, and turned out there was a bunch of Northerners jumping on a few, Southerners, and I just fell right into that. So yeah, I got fucked up pretty bad. So I rolled back up to the hole, and the same thing, man, same scenario. But now I'm kind of cocky about it. I kind of know what to expect. And my celly from that first incident, him and the other dude are still there, so they're laughing at me. Everybody's laughing at me that knows me now. But one thing that I noticed is that I felt accepted. Like they were all yelling when I came to ATSIG that time, and they all see me. Everybody was yelling my name. They were yelling my alias, what I used to go by, and there's something that changed in me, man. That feeling, of walking down, I'm handcuffed, the cops got me, like they're treating me like I'm a real threat, And in reality, I was a threat to the safety and security because I was willing to do anything. I was a stupid ass kid that would have done anything to impress the older guys, the seasoned vets. So I was a threat to the safety and security. So they were treating me accordingly. So they're walking me in, I'm in the cage, and everybody's yelling at me, they're laughing. It's like a giant party. They had a little bit of alcohol waiting for me. They had some tobacco. They sent me all my stuff. I already knew how to make a fishing line, and now I'm the vet. When my cellie rolled in, I'm acting like I'm fucking like I've been doing this for 100 years. But in reality, I'm still young. You know, still young at that time. But yeah, I went with the flow. So I did a shoot term for that in the same place. The shoot terms, for the listeners that don't know, I'm pretty sure it's pretty common here. The segregated housing units are shoot terms. Basically, it's like a prison sentence within the prison for doing misconduct in prison. So that's what they call them, shoes, SHUs. So I get kicked out, and now my points had jacked up. My points had jacked up. They ended up reclassifying the first incident. They said, look, you were still involved. You were an active participant. So they ended up freaking winning their appeal on my appeal, and I got hit with the battery on the inmate with the weapon again. But they gave me another shoe for that, but they suspended it. My points jacked. Like, you have points that classify you level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So my points jacked up to a pretty high level 3 at that time. So they released me to a level 3 yard. And I'm on the yard. I'm around dudes that are doing more time. That's the first time that I was really around lifers, guys that had life in prison. And there's guys that have been down for a long time, guys down for 20 years, and these dudes, they're a lot different than the other guys that I met on that level 1 yard. Them dudes that look like big bettles with the giant mustaches. Like, these dudes right here, they had that look, but there was something different about them. I could tell they were a little bit more like, they were a little bit more calm. They were cautious about things. They kind of like, they had like a slick way of doing things. And these dudes were like, there's a term, convicts. Like, these guys were old school convicts. And they gave me a lot of bad schooling, man, where they taught me a lot of ways around things in prison. So I idolized these dudes. I hung out with them. Like, I became the kid, because they knew I was willing to go to the hole. So I was a good kid to have around. They would give me dope and stuff like that. Because I was still a tweaker at heart, man, at that time. So they were giving me dope and stuff like that. And they introduced me to injecting, man, to using needles. And it seemed like their logic was like perfect. They were like, look, man, you only get a little bit in here, man. You're not going to feel it. So you do this. We all do it. Don't worry about it. We'll teach you how. And that was the kind of schooling that they gave me, man. So, yeah, I started shooting up freaking dope. I started doing heroin here and there. And I had never done heroin before, and I was afraid of heroin. But I did it anyway. I would have done anything to be a part of these guys' little circle. I felt accepted by them. I started to get a little bit of a name for myself, and they liked that I was willing to put in work, on behalf of them and their cause. So it wasn't long before I picked up another write-up. I picked up another write-up there for something stupid, man, and that actually pushed my points to level 4. So when they pushed my points to level 4, I didn't really know what that meant because they didn't transfer me, but one day they decided they were going to close down that yard and turn it into something else, a different program, which was an SMY program. So they said, well, everybody's going to leave. Everybody has to transfer. This yard's no longer general population. It's going to switch at this date. And they took us all back to it's a program committee to decide like where you go and your case factors. But when I went to committee, they're like, look, you're a shoe kick out. Like, even though you didn't leave to the shoe at this time, you served shoe terms, and you're a level 4. So we have a yard right here specifically for shoe kickouts, and that's where you're going. You're not transferring to another prison. You're going to a level 4 180. So I was like, huh. I'm like, by this time I'm probably about 20. And I'm like, damn, what the hell is a 180 level 4? I never heard of that before. So once again, man, my ticket got pulled, and I packed up my shit and they're taking me to another yard. So this is already, man, I went to G yard, A yard, E yard, and now I'm going to C yard. So this is already my 4th yard at that time. So I go over to C yard, and man, this yard, these motherfuckers are crazy. I'll tell you that. When I walked onto this yard, this is like a fortress. This was another prison inside of a prison, and they call them 180s. I learned later because of the design, the way the setup is. There's two types of level fours. There's level 4 270 and level 4 180. 180 designs are like octagons. They have most 270 yards have they have 5 buildings. While 180 designs have 8 buildings. So they usually have two sides of the yard that are split in half. The whole yard's got.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
The cops walk with mini 14s on the catwalks with block guns. There's cameras everywhere, and they split the yard down the middle. All right, so let me I'll redial right now.
Okay, perfect. We'll be waiting for you.
All right.
And Fish Slayer, I just wanted to mention to you that I went ahead and just transferred that money over through the GTO Getting Out app, and I'll mention that to him right now. So that should be on his books in the next 24 hours or whatnot. If anybody's interested in making any donations to anybody that's in the podcast, probably the easiest way to get that money in their hands would be if you send it directly over through the GTL Getting Out app. Or sorry, it's not going to be through GTL Getting Out app. It's going to be through the GTL Connected app. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some videos to guide anybody that's interested in blessing them with some funds or whatnot. I'll probably get that out in the next few days. And then I'm also gonna make a video where if anybody wants to reach out to these gentlemen, how to do it. So I'll get to it as soon as I can. I'll go ahead and post that up. And right now, when he jumps back on, I'll mention to him that you blessed him with that $20.
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hey, David.
Yeah. So.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Before you continue, I actually wanted to mention something to you. So somebody, actually one of the watchers, he goes by the name of a Slayer, and he actually blessed you with $20 right now. He dropped that on the YouTube app. So what I did was right now when you were talking, I jumped on the GTL Connected app, and I sent those $20 your way. So from what I read here, because I've never sent any money through this app. Normally, whenever I send any money to any of my homies that are busted, I normally go down to the post office, buy a money order, and just do it like that.
Yeah.
But in this case,
That's old
since he dropped those $20 right now, I wanted to get this, in your hands as soon as possible. So I did it through the app. It says that it takes about 24 hours. I'm not exactly sure if you know how long that takes, but definitely be on the lookout. Just wanted,
Hey, I appreciate that a lot, man. It means a lot to me that somebody took that time out, man, and gave that consideration, man. So from the bottom of my heart, man, everything counts in here. Everything matters, man. Every little gesture, and I feel that love, man. So let him know that I really, really appreciate that. I'm sure he can hear that I appreciate that, man. And it means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then I want to say his name correctly. His handle is Fish Slayer SoCal. All right, and he dropped 19.99 on the chat here, and I went ahead and forward that to you. And I wanted to mention that to you on air just because definitely I'm not trying to have any misunderstandings or anybody say anything. I just don't want to have any issues. So I wanted to be upfront with you, and get that in your hands as soon as possible.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you too, man. That's like I said, once again, man, thank you very much, man, for your kindness, man, for your.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That's cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. When I look back at all this, I'm looking at this piece of paper right here to kind of like guide me on the dates and stuff, and it's like, damn, man, this was a lot of madness, that I went through, and yeah, so just like rolling up to a prison, man, I'm telling you, rolling up to level 4 180 for the first time, man, that was it wasn't just the institution, the way that it was set up, because I mean I had already kind of got used to like looking at barbed wire and the electric fences and the cops with the guns, but it was just the look on the people's faces that were there, my fellow residents, my fellow inmates. We don't really use that term inmate no more. We use the word residents, incarcerated individual, stuff like that. But this time, like these guys, man, that I was in here with, like there's something in their face and their eyes, man, that was different. Like these lifers that were there, because 180 level 4 at that time was reserved for life without parole, and like the fuck ups, the guys who were coming straight out of the shoe, the guys that from the real shoe, the Pelican Bay, Corcoran, Tehachapi, like not the little overflow building ADSEG unit shoes. Like these dudes, like they earned their trip to 180 level 4, And so when I got there, my cellie, they put me in with this dude, and he was an OG. He had just did 16 years in Pelican Bay shoe on an indeterminate. So when I first walked into that cell and seen him, he had long hair. So I remember I had associated long hair with Northerners, So I was like, damn, like this dude's a Northerner, and they just put me in with them. I'm like, fuck. So, but nah, he was my people. So when I pulled in, he's talking to me, and I could just tell that something was different about him. The pale look that he had, you could tell this is a motherfucker that just spent 16 years in Pelican Bay shoe, like that. He looked like white, like a ghost. He just had a different tone to him and a different style. He was real OG, man, and he was just tripping out because I got to show him my paperwork as soon as we get there. Like they want to see your paperwork, they want to know what you're in prison for, or they want to know why you're there. They want a whole they want a play-by-play of how you landed in that cell with that individual. That's how it is. Those dudes they don't take no chances. So I show him what I got. So he starts laughing. When he's reading my shit, he's like, "Damn fool, you came here level 1." And I was like, yeah, I didn't really trip on it. He's like, "Hey fool," he goes. He goes, "Look, man, I'm gonna give you my respect, man." He goes, I see you're a good young homie. You're putting in work, and you're here with us. And he goes, "Look, man," he goes, you got a good vibe about yourself." He goes, "So, he goes, I'm gonna keep you in here with me because I guess at that time they choose they choose your cellies." He goes, they have the option. The cops are looking at him too, like, is the kid staying? Are we gonna put him somewhere else? Put him with someone his age? Because this dude's older. He was in his 40s. And he's like, "No, the youngster's gonna stay with me." So that was the first time that I seen it. I seen that respect, and the cop just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I had some stuff that I had acquired on the level 3. Like I had a radio with a speaker, like a Super 3. I had a TV that wasn't in my name. I had all kinds of little knickknacks and stuff like that. So I was prepared to argue like my claim to these items, knowing damn well they weren't mine. Like I had a piece of paper, with freaking, just some shit that we came up with, to try to like get me to keep this stuff. And I'm already ready to like state my claim to this stuff. And I told the cop, "Hey man, I got paperwork on all this stuff right here." And the cop just looked at me like he was like, "Hey man, we don't give a fuck about this shit here, honestly." He goes, "Go in your cell, you're good. They're waiting for you over there." So I tripped out on that, like damn, like he wasn't sweating on no floater, like we call them floaters, a TV that's not in your name. Like this motherfucker wants me back in that cell because I'm a danger. You don't know shit about me. So I go in there, and I tripped out that I started to notice that they had started to release a lot of guys from the shoe at that time. This was 2001 now. Um, they started releasing a lot of guys from the shoe under a settlement, that happened, and so my cellie was one of them. So he's schooling me down, man. He's giving me all kinds of lecture schooling, man, about what's gonna happen and who's here, and he's telling me just this yard is like he said 180 is real cut and dry. It's all good until it's not, and he just basically said, "Look, here we have real enemies. The guys that are here, if we come in contact with them, it's life or death. So you need to treat it as such." There was a big war that happened between certain gang factions in prison during that time that started to kick off, and I got there right in the middle of it. So they ended up bringing these guys from another institution onto my yard, and we were the lucky guys that were going to see them first. It was all experimental. The way that they did things in those days was the only way we can see how a problem is going to get resolved or how bad it is to let these motherfuckers kill each other. And let's just see what it is. We hear it, we're getting the information, but we don't have no legal way to keep them in their cells. So the best thing we can do is we could just let out, instead of all 8 buildings or 4 buildings, we're going to let out 2 buildings, and we're going to see we're going to see what happens. So I happened to be in one of the buildings I was going to get let out with another faction, And my celly told me what it was. We all knew what it was. And I remember I listened to. I'm a music lover. I've been listening to music since I was a kid. So all genres. But for this particular moment, I'm listening to some hardcore shit. That's why the guy that reached out with that $20, his name was Slayer, and I tripped out because I listen to Slayer. You know, I listen to that rock band. So love Slayer. So I'm listening to a band called Pantera at that time. You know, and I got my headphones on, and the yard's gonna open, man. The yard's gonna open in about 10 minutes. I'm jamming fucking hard rock music in my, you know, that's the hardest shit I can find if someone loaned me at that time. And I'm listening to it because I'm pumping myself up, man. And I started getting a stomach ache. You know, I remember getting a stomach ache, man. I was like, damn. So I took the music off and I told myself, you know, my stomach's all fucked up, man. And he goes all like, but it was crazy how he said it because he was like, oh, you're fucking. He goes, that's fear you feel in your stomach. And I was like, it tripped me out because remember, I'm a level four cadet at this time. You know, my head is super big. I'm with the business and all that other good shit. So when this OG is telling me that you got fear in your stomach, but the way he said it was so like matter of fact, it kind of like threw me off. I didn't feel like he was disrespecting me. I didn't feel like he was like putting me down. I just felt like he was like, it was just a matter of fact statement. He goes, oh, that's fear. And then, but what he told me surprised me next, man, because he told me, he goes, don't worry about it. We all feel it. He goes, you're not feeling anything that we don't feel. He goes, what you have in your stomach is a ball of fear, man. He goes, we don't know what's going to happen out there. So he goes, just stay with me when we go out there. Just stay with me. He goes, we'll be all right, man. He goes, it's what it is, you know. So I made it through that incident. It was just shit happened, and it just became a continuous thing. But during those years also, when you go on lockdown, you go on lockdown for 6 months to a year at a time. So I got lucky that incident and the next time that they tried it on the other side of the yard, somebody ended up dying. They slammed us down. So I stayed on.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I stayed on lockdown until I paroled because at that time, I remember I had only had 3 years at that time, but I had picked up so much time in there that I was nearing my max date, so they had to let me out eventually. You know, I was behaving like I had life in prison or something, you know, because that's the guys that I was around, you know. And I ended up, it was crazy because just one day it was over. They opened the door and they let me go home, you know. They put me on a bus, and it was crazy because when I paroled, they paroled me with like, man, there was like maybe 3 to 5 Northerners that paroled with me, and this was a war, not just with them, but there was shit going on in the yard. So they put me in a holding cell with them, and these guys, you could tell they're from the north because of the stuff they were wearing and shit, you know. But we weren't tripping on each other. We were ready to get the fuck out of there. But I remember it was kind of nervous, you know. I was like, man, like, these are the guys that they just all warned me about. I haven't come in contact with them on a level 4, but now we're all in a holding cell together. They are what they are and what I am, you know. But at the end of the day, man, you know, we just wanted to go home to our families. So the problem with leaving a yard like that, remember, I went straight from that, and I'm back in society. No self-help, and I know it was my doing, because I was at a place on the level 1 yard. I was at a recovery place, so I don't want to say that, hey, they didn't try. It's just that during that time, I'm leaving straight from a war zone, level 4 180. People are dying, fear in my stomach, a hardcore drug addiction. I never addressed that. It just got put on hold, and now suddenly I'm back out there with you guys. I'm in society. I'm on a Greyhound bus. I'm looking around, and I feel different. I don't feel right. I feel off. I feel like something else, you know. And all the way home, I'm thinking about it. The $200 gate money they gave me, that shit was gone by the time I got home, you know. And it's crazy because my cellie now, you guys know him. The listeners will know him, Jesse Nava, from listening to his podcast. That's my cellie now, and my cellie was my boy. My cellie was my boy before I came to prison. I had actually come into prison before him on the dope cooking case, and he got busted for murder while I was already incarcerated. So I had heard this when I had come to prison. Like, I heard that Jesse got busted for murder, and it tripped me out because this was the only person that was actually close to me, that was my boy, that I really knew that, you know, that committed a murder. So that stuck in the back of my head. You know, I had that on my mind, and I was like, damn, you know, Jesse's he's a part of these guys now. He's a part of these guys on the 180 with no souls. You know, like these dudes are living a chaotic lifestyle, and Jesse belongs to that now. So it's crazy that when I got out, the first person that I met, he was at the bus stop waiting for me. It was another one of our mutual friends. He was one of our homeboys, and he was there to pick me up at the Greyhound station. He ran up to me and he was like, "You heard about Jesse? You know, he went down. He was a murder for hire and all." It was just, so I started hearing all these rumors and shit like that, you know, about Jesse and what he did. So I stayed in the back of my head and I was like, damn, you know, like I felt more connected to Jesse because he was a part of my environment now. Like he was a part of this system. And this homie that came up to me, I just felt different, you know, like there was some shit that happened between them two, you know, and I think that he was trying to come up to me to take sides, you know, from take his side because of their falling out and stuff, and another story, you know. But so I'm out there though, and I'm just. It didn't take me long, man. You know, I try to play the part for a little bit, but I was different, man. I was off. Like I'm telling people, like they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what's wrong with me? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know, like don't you know? Don't you know? Like I'm not like you no more." That's what I was thinking in my head. You know, I'm different. You know, like I was just came from a level 4 motherfucking 180. Like, you know, I'm just different. Like they don't even know. They're looking at me like, what is that? You know, they have no idea. You know, they think prison is all one level. They think it's this and that. You know, they, you know. So I just didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to tell my story. Um,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I did what I do best, man. I got back on meth. You know, and all my insecurities, all my fears, everything was all that shit was put on the back burner. You know, my addiction took center stage. So yeah, I'll give you a call back or no. James, you still want to do another call?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, go for it. We'll be here. We'll be waiting.
Okay, I'll give you another call.
All right, and when he calls back right now, I'll go ahead and go through the messages. I know there's been a few messages that are coming through. I was in the middle of trying to transfer that money to him, so I haven't responded to some of the messages, and I'll make sure I'll go ahead and mention these messages to him as soon as he calls back right now, and then we'll go ahead and continue with or he'll continue with his story because we're just listening, right? So I really appreciate the support that has been coming through today. Whether you're hitting the thumbs up or listening or subscribing or sharing, um, all of that definitely helps out. The channel grow and whatnot. And this channel, the one of the reasons I started it just because I wanted to offer something different. Different like different views and whatnot. I know a lot of times we love hearing stories about people getting stabbed and murdered and things of that nature. So I wanted to bring a little bit something because there's different things that are actually happening in prison besides those things. So wanted to shed a light on that.
This call
This
is
is
now being
Global
recorded.
Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey David,
Right.
before you continue,
Yep.
I actually I read out some of these comments and whatnot that people are leaving. Um, so we
Okay.
have Eliceman. Earlier on you were talking about the haircuts and whatnot, and that the people that
Uh huh.
resided up north, they had a certain type of haircut, and he put on here we had
Yeah.
pompadour hairstyles back in the mid '80s. You can tell the
Uh
difference between the north and the south even back then. So yeah, so that's been going on for decades. If the different type of
yeah.
haircuts.
It does. Like you could tell, and it's not a bad thing. It's not like putting they had just a different style, and because I see guys even now, a lot of the northern they have the way their hair is, and I tripped on it like damn, like it's a lot of commitment. Like a lot of the ones that we would know is they would grow like portions of their hair out, like the you would have like the Mongolian look, the tail would be like it would just be like but it would be badass, man. It would be like the double braids but they had hairstyles that I just tripped out, and they were real upkept, but you could tell right away. You're like, oh yeah, homie's from the north for sure, because he's got the double braid pulled back, but it looked pretty tight though. But yeah, it's just a lot of commitment because you could tell that the hair would be real long and stuff. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I could
But
imagine. Yeah, having that long ass hair. And then also we got
yep.
another message from El Iceman. And Iceman,
Uh-huh.
he's been supporting since the the early days of starting the this channel and whatnot. So
That's cool, man.
definitely a shout out
Yeah,
to El Iceman. And then he also put
absolutely. Shout out. Yep.
excellent details on his experience, very visual. It brings back so many memories. And Elias Man, he mentioned on a few episodes back that he had done time in
Uh-huh.
the mid '80s, when it was a little bit different. So, he
Yeah.
like what you're mentioning is taking him down
And
memory lane.
yeah, and the thing is, that's what I'm trying to, and I know it takes a while, but because I'm trying to sum it up, but I'm trying to give the listeners a visual, of what that looks like, what that experience looks like, and the guys that I met at that time in Sat F on CR, the OGs and stuff, they were from that generation from the '80s. That's the schooling that I got. Those were the guys that they had a different style, a different swagger to them. It was just it was a different time, but the dudes were vicious, man.
Hmm.
The dudes were vicious back then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
we were, yeah, but that's a shout out to Iceman, man, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that support, man, and that understanding. What I'm trying to do. Trying to let our listeners see what it's like inside of there through my eyes.
and another thing I want to mention to you, as far as like
Yep.
you going through your stories, no need to rush. You could
Uh-huh.
give as
Yep.
much details as possible. The calls are unlimited, so the state is paying for it. So you can make as many calls as needed. For us to get through your story. So don't feel rushed and skipping any details or whatnot that you think that will that are you're going to be beneficial to our audience and whatnot. So definitely take your
Okay.
time when we're going through these stories. And then we have another message from
Yeah.
Kush Roller.
Okay.
He said he's
Uh
new
huh.
here and he's a big fan. He said he's
Uh huh.
watching from the inside, so I'm assuming he's in prison watching this. So
Yeah.
that'll if he is watching from the inside, that would be a
Uh
first.
huh.
I don't think anybody else has mentioned that on here, so he would be the first that would be watching
Yeah.
from the inside that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Kush. Shout out
Yeah,
to Kush,
and
man.
he's watching
So
from Pennsylvania. So he said it's the channel's really motivational, with lots of wisdom. Yeah, if you listen to it, then there's definitely a lot of information and a lot of gems that people uh, could get some value out of.
yeah.
So I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
We have a lot. Yeah, I appreciate that to him too, man. And for this platform to reach somebody that's that far out. The thing is, we have a lot in common now. We go through the same types of the pain and the suffering, and just the incarceration and the isolation. We're going to experience the same thing, because when this door shuts behind us and we turn around and we look back, the first thing we see when we walk into a cell is the back wall. And no matter where he's at in Pennsylvania, he's going to see that back wall too. He's going to know, that you turn around and you look, and suddenly Pennsylvania, suddenly California, none, that don't exist no more. It's you and that whatever size your cell is, man. My cell right now is probably what, 6 by 9. I could reach out and touch both walls with my hands right now. My head, I gotta duck down a little bit because I'm on the top bunk. I'm kind of sitting up, but my head will hit the ceiling.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
There's cells that are smaller. I've been in smaller cells. So yeah, like I said, I know what he's going through, man. If anybody that's listening on the inside, anybody that's been through this, I feel your pain, man. I'm still in mine. But yeah. So we'll go to let's see. So yeah, I'm out right now. And this is the thing. What I've come to realize is that I don't know who would have been out there that could have helped me at that time. I needed to talk about what I had been through. I had a meth addiction that was bad, man, and I needed something, but that didn't exist at that time. There was not that I knew about. I needed people that were just like me. I needed people like Iceman, like people who have been through it in those days, to receive me and tell me, hey, what you've been through, man, was not normal, man. You don't have to feel the way you felt. There was other things that you're not alone in this. We it's a traumatic experience, but we suppress those types of things. We don't want to admit that, because we're macho, and we're not doing all that. So the thing is that I got back on what I knew. I got back on dope. I was a good dope dealer. um I made money. I had things going on, so I liked it. It kind of gave me a distraction. I came out and I didn't look the way that I came in. Now I'm a little bit seasoned. I'm pretty swole now. I went through a lot of the workouts and stuff and a lot of the training, and it's physical training for war. That's what it is. They train you in those levels for war. You have to make sure that you could go out there and be an asset to your organization, which you're coming out to the yard to represent. And you don't want to go out there and just get fucked off. So I was doing exercises that made me a better fighter, made me more lethal, made me somebody that could actually be an asset to me and mine. And Marcelli was my boy. Marcelli was older, and he gave me schooling, and he nurtured me. He was like my big brother, and I'll be damned if I was going to let him down. Fear or not, I wanted to be there for these people, and not just him. I wanted to be there for my people, the people that took me under their wing and showed me how to survive in that environment. So I looked like that. When I came out, I looked different. I didn't look like a lot of the guys that were around me. I was all cut up. I had that like prison look. I was normal, but I wasn't. I was far from it. I looked kind of normal, but I was far from normal. So it didn't take long before I got a violation of parole. So you always hear stories. The first time that I heard a story about about Chino was probably from Snoop Dogg. What was that song? Rolling on the Great Goose, shackled from head to toe, 25 with the ears out with nowhere to go. Well, the Great Goose is that's actually a bus, and I've been on the Great Goose in Chino. It's crazy. That's what we all called it. It's actually a great bus. It takes you from one part of Chino to another. So when I got a violation, I violated a special condition because I was around a member of another gang, and I wasn't allowed to be around gang members. So I got swept up in a parole sweep. They found me with a gang member, down. So I was in Chino. I didn't even go to the county jail, man. I got swept up off the street, and they drove me straight to Chino, my parole officer. Well, I didn't know that they could do that. I was just out there chilling. I was on dope. I was with the homies, and then that night, I'm in a holding cell in R&R in Chino. And I'm like, damn, that took a turn fast. Like suddenly I'm back, and you hear about the stories about Chino as being a real violent prison and stuff like that, and so I'm about probably 22 at that time. So I'm a little older. So they take my picture. The R&R in Chino wasn't the same as R&R in the reception center in North Turner State Prison. Like they strip you out and shit like that, but you're not like on a giant you're not like on a conveyor belt of just naked people walking around and shit like that. Like it's more just like in a cage real quick, see what you got, and they give you your clothes and you wait to get housed. So I got put on I was done with dorms. Like they were never gonna put me in a dorm again because I was a level 4. So dorms were done. I was going to cells, and now I'm going to the level 4 portion of Chino in the reception center. So this was old school. I tripped out when I walked into it. My first violation in Chino, they put me in a place called Sycamore, and everybody calls it Stickamore, like because a lot of people get stabbed and there's a lot of metal and shit. So we call it Stickamore. Sycamore Hall was what it was called. So I walk into Sycamore, and I trip out because you see the bars from the old jail movies, and Sycamore is all bars. That's Sycamore is like, it's how you see it, man. When you see like Alcatraz, you see like a picture of Alcatraz online or something like that, the way that the cell blocks look, but it's only 3 tiers. Alcatraz, or I think the old prisons like Folsom and shit were like 5 tiers, but Chino wasn't. Chino was 3 tiers. So once again, I'm tripping out because I walk in, they close the doors behind me, and I'm in this little ass cell, I'm in there with one of my own people, I just asked him, well, what's the program? He's like, you're looking at it. I'm like, damn, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, we don't. You go to yard like once a week. He's like, but this is it, man. This is what it is. He goes, they let us out to shower. They let us out to shower like every couple of days or so, where you just bird bath. And I said, well, where am I supposed to sit? Because I ain't gonna sit up on the top bunk all the time, I did that shit when I was younger in the hole, but he's like, well, we make little hammocks out of sheets. There's like a little space between the bottom bunk and the bars. So the guys who are pretty crafty, they're improvising and make a little hammock right there, and it's like a little seat. So he could chill on the bottom bunk, and I could chill on the little hammock right there. And during those days, I was in a cell that was it was real close to where the cops walked. I was on the first tier at that time, which is a tier is like the hall the it's like a cell block. There's three tiers, so it's three levels. So I was on the first one, and I was in the first cell. So being in that cell, I had to call point on the keys. As soon as keys opened the gate, I had to yell. I had to yell to alert everybody that there was officers walking. So I remember there was an officer there, and he was straight. I remember his name was Gonzo. Yeah, he was straight. He used to catch me slipping sometimes. Like I would be kind of like I would be nodded out like a little bit. I'd be like taking a little nap right there in my hammock. I'm supposed to be on point, and I would wake up sometimes, and Gonzo would be there. Gonzo would be there looking at me like, and he would just rattle his keys, looking at me with a smile. You know, like are you gonna let him know, or you want me to? You know, and I would just laugh and I would yell. I had to yell. We had to yell like keys. Llaves is keys in Spanish, you know. So we'd have to yell llaves, you know, primera tira, like llaves on the first tier. We had to yell it loud, and then there'd be relays. The relays yell it, so everybody can hear on all three tiers, and that just alerts everybody. Just basically stop everything you're doing. Just watch out. Like there's keys on the tier, and it's a respect thing too, though, because when you do that, it's for one, just covering your ass if you got something going on in your cell and they're walking up, and you know you can get in trouble. And two, um, if you're doing something in your cell, like if you're bird bathing, like showering and stuff like that, like you don't want to disrespect them by like even though they strip you out up front, like you still don't want to show them your junk and stuff like that. So it's kind of like just a respect thing, you know. Just everybody knows what it is. So that's what it was, man. So Chino was all right. It was kind of like I sat there for a couple months, and then I got transferred to Ironwood State Prison after that. Finished my violation. And it was it was pretty uneventful in Ironwood. I got they actually reduced my points. That's how I ended up in Ironwood because they dropped me 1 point. I was so low level 4 that they dropped me 1 point and sent me to level 3. So I got lucky that I went to Ironwood level 3 for a little bit. That didn't last long. No, I jacked my points super far up to level 4 eventually, but that time I was happy to go there. So once again, man, I'm in Ironwood, and boom, I'm back out on the streets again. Um, no rehabilitation, no nothing. I'm just chilling. I was with the homies on the yard one morning, and then that night I was just chilling back again. You know, with everybody out on the streets, and it was the same shit. You know, I didn't really care.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have 60 seconds remaining.
The first house that I went to, they had some dope. You know how that goes. So yeah, I got high, and that turned into something else. And I'll call back right now.
All right,
Ready for
perfect.
another call, James?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll call back.
All right, and then right now, as soon as he calls back, I'll go ahead and continue reading off the rest of the comments and whatnot. And I do see a comment from his sister, so I'm gonna go ahead and let him know that you're in here definitely supporting. And I see that there's still a few messages that I did miss, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue with those messages once he calls back. And my apologies for the quietness. I'm just checking where I left off as far as where the messages go. All right, there he is.
Call is now
This
being
is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, David, thank
All
you
right.
for calling back. And right now, before you continue right now, I want to read off the second half of the messages that we got on here because definitely don't want to
All
overlook
right.
the supporters here. So we have a message from August
Cool.
Martinez, she puts, love the story. And then Fish Slayer SoCal put, it comes easy. I appreciate you shouting me out. So when we shouted him out for, dropping that those $20,
Cool.
he appreciates that, and definitely,
Yep.
it's reciprocal over here. So we appreciate, you looking out for David. And then Eliasman put
Yeah.
Pantera, I think it's, or Pantera. It's I guess a music group. Are you
Yep.
familiar with them? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the what I was. That's what I was listening to. That's what I was listening to the day that I went out for the riot. That's Pantera. That's
All
the
right.
band. Uh,
And then Fish
yep.
Slayer, Soca put that's right, Pantera, Megadeth, Metallica. I'm a fan also growing up. That's what I listen to, and to this date. So he's still listening to this music.
Absolutely. I was listening to Slayer and Metallica this morning. Matter of fact.
Huh. So you guys definitely got something
That's
in
what I
common there.
listened to.
Yeah.
Nah, that was cool, man. That's cool that they understand. And the thing is that with these experiences and with these stories, and um, we're we're not unlike each other. No matter where we're from, no matter what region, we're not unlike each other. I was a skater when I was younger. I ran around. I took a turn at one point. I got on drugs, but we have a lot of similarities with each other. My story might be unique as far as my personal journey, but we have a lot in common. You know, a lot of us maybe even went to the same institutions and stuff like that. So, but it's what it is, man. That's who we are, man. It's all about trying to recapture that innocence. And these every time that I left, like when I left Ironwood again, I had I had left a piece of me behind in that institution. Everywhere that I had been, I left a piece behind. Every yard that I was on, I left a piece behind. I left a piece of me back there in Sycamore Hall. I still think about it. I left a piece of me back there in Ironwood. Uh, uh, Sad F, even the embarrassing level one I was out for a few months. There's a piece of me that's there, man, that exists there. Something left behind, when that gate closed. So it's easier it's easier to come back to prison because you start to lose the fear of it. Remember that fear that I told you about when I first arrived to North Carolina State Prison? That fear was gone, man. I looked forward to walking into prison when I got there. Yeah, I was pissed off when I got arrested, but when I walked into that institution and that gate opened, I was like, "That's right, motherfuckers, daddy's home." That was my that was my attitude. That's the way that I felt. So you start losing touch with the people that you love on the streets. Yeah, I love my family, I love my siblings, I love my cousins, my uncles, my I love my family, but the thing is that I'm also a part of something else. There's something else that tugs at my heart now. There's something else every time that I hit that meth pipe or I shot something up, like a piece of me got left behind in that, disappeared in the smoke. So when I wasn't out long when I got off from Ironwood. Now I'm different now. Now I'm even though I had an uneventful stay, my willingness to commit violent acts was there. It is actually it was evolving into something that I didn't recognize at that time. I was slowly becoming a killer. That's what was happening, and I didn't know it yet until I was actually standing over a body that I had killed. That this is what I would had become. And I didn't see it at that time. I get out of Ironwood, the first thing that I do, yeah, I go see the Connect, but now I need a gun. I need to strap up. Like I got shit that I got to take care of, but now I feel like I need to have a gun on me at all times. Now, this is a part of my uniform. I got my clothes, I got my shoes, I got my watch, my chain. I got my cell phone, and I got my gun. Like that's my kit right there. So I wasn't thinking like that before. This was a necessity now. And why did I think it was a necessity? Well, my homie Jesse was already busted for murder. I had already been around a lot of people that were busted for murder. Like this was a part of who I was at this time. So this was a part of my image. So I ended up like I said, I strapped up when I got out of Ironwood, and I got busted with the gun. I went and picked up one of the homies, and he wasn't really with that. I had to like tell him like he picked up another gun, and I had to tell him too, like, look homie, this roll, we're gonna take care of some shit. Make sure you got your strap on you. Anything could happen. And he's like looking at me like, dude, like, where do you think we're going? Are we going to Baghdad or something? Like, why do we need two guns on us? I was like, well, why wouldn't we? So but see, the thing is that I was thinking from the mentality of I'm going out to yard. That gun is my version of listening to a hardcore rock band like Pantera or something else. Like this is what's, this is how I feel safe. This is how I feel pumped up because I'm always walking out to a yard on a level 4 180 in my mind. Every time I step out of the house, I'm walking into a prison yard. Anything could happen. I got enemies all around, but I'm in society. See, someone like me didn't belong in society at that time. Someone like me just needed to be in a damn therapist chair, you know, trying to get me back to a civilized human being, because that's not what I was. I wanted to shave my head now. I wanted to wear lopes, and I wasn't on that shit before. And like I said, I was quick to wear some etnies and some board shorts and some skater shorts and shit like that. But now I need to have a pair of solos in my closet. I need to have some Friscos in my closet. Even if I'm not wearing them, I need to know they're there. I need to have some Nike Cortez in the closet. I don't wear Cortez, but I needed to make sure that I could put on my uniform at any time, because that's what I was becoming. I was becoming something else. My image and my value was tied into that. So I end up getting busted, and I got the homie busted too. For the guns. We got pulled over. We were with some people that they didn't really know what we were doing and shit, and they gave us a ride somewhere. We got pulled over. Boom, busted. So now I'm a felon in possession of an illegal firearm. Um, so I'm on parole still. So that's another. I'm going back to prison for sure, 100%. There's no getting around that.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I didn't have no strikes. I didn't have no strikes at that time, so I ended up getting a pretty good deal with halftime. But the fact of the matter is, the time that it took to fight that case, um, they took me in. I'm in county jail. I'm chilling, but I'm not learning any lessons. You want to know why I'm not learning any lessons? Because they put me with my homie Jesse. I'm with my homie Jesse now. He's fighting a murder case still on his. He's been there for years in county jail, but I feel like I don't have any. It's like I'm not feeling the incarceration no more. I'm just like, it's just another step along the way, just going about my business, and I'm hanging out with him, and we're doing shit now. We're involved with things and stuff like that. So I'm quick to fuck somebody up, and I'm quick to do this and that. Like I want to be like, I'm raising my hand for things. I'm like, I'm squaring off with people, and I'm a different person. I'm just more prone to violence at this time. So I end up getting sentenced, and I go back upstate. Well, this is where my story kind of took a turn. Um, it took a turn for the worse. You know, when I went back upstate, um, I was I was in a reception center. They sent me back to North Kern State Prison, that same place. But now I'm one of them seasoned dudes. They tell me take off my clothes and put them in that little trash can right there and walk. I'm quick, man. I'm the first one stripped out. I put my clothes in there. I'm walking. I ain't covering my shit. I got my head cocked up. I'm just cruising. I'm just going for the ride. Like my first thing out was my shoes. The last thing out was my boxers. Like I wasn't giving a fuck. Like that's how I looked at it. Like I was one of those guys that was seasoned. I had been in prison a few times. I was already knew what it was, but I wasn't going to dorms no more because even though I had been on the level 3 yard, I was still considered like high points. So they were going to give me more points for the gun anyway and shit like that. So I'm in the I go to a yard called B yard, and B yard is all cells. And these cells are run down, man. Reception center cells, man, they're nothing nice. So I go to this cell and looking around, and I'm looking at my cellie. My cellie's some lifer. He's younger. He was a dumbass, but we're on the main line. So I got to give him his respect and stuff. And um, I'm not saying nothing like I had met some people in Chino during that time that I knew, and they were kind of involved with things like that. Just gang shit. But I wasn't like letting them know anything really about me. I'm just there, just kind of just chilling and seeing what he's doing. So there's something that we had to do when we get to an institution when we during those years when we would get somewhere, we have to sign a piece of paper for the gang. It's called like a roll call sheet, or we call it the gallo. So we had to sign it, and basically we had to. There's a guy that overlooks the building, and it's his responsibility to get the name of every single person that's involved with that particular gang. You know, so they do that to kind of run for names for people that are like are wanted and stuff like that. So me, I was proud to put it on there. I put my name in big letters and boom, this is who I am, this is what it is. And I'm already getting kind of cocky. So my name went to somebody that I actually knew from Chino that had involved himself a little bit more kind of with gang leaders and stuff like that. So when he see my name on there, it stood out to him, and he right away he sent word over and he's like, look, I'm gonna need some help over there. You know what time it is. You were with me. You helped over there in Chino and stuff like that. So I was like, whatever. What I gotta do? He's like, just pretty much when homeboy leaves, you're gonna you're just gonna send us the guios and stuff like that. So I was like, it's no big deal. So I'm not really tripping on it. It's not like a big like the biggest job in the world or anything like that. So thing is that one of the guys that was in my was in my building, he almost killed his cellie. He was a crazy motherfucker, man. He was cool though. I liked him. He was cool. He was doing like life without parole times 5, which means he had 5 murders, 5 counts of murder. He was done. He didn't care. He pulled something out of cellie and he tried to kill him. So I don't really think much of it because I've seen a lot of violence in prison at this time. So I heard the guy yelling up there. I heard him screaming. I heard the cops ran up there. I heard commotion, and I see them bring the dude down. You know, the guy who actually did it. You know, I seen them bring him down, and he's just chilling. He's just cruising, like he's just going off for the ride. Like this is just another trip on my journey. You know, he ain't even tripping on that. So he's smiling. He's fucking just going about his business. And they brought down the victim, and the victim is hogtied. They have like these orange things that they carry people on, and the victim's hogtied, like all crazy. You know, and I was like, damn, it's the first time you always hear stories about people like tying up their cellies and shit like that, but I never seen it, you know. So this is the first time where I've seen it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, and they're working on him like this dude's out, like they're trying to bring him back and shit like that, you know. So I'm like, damn, you know that went all bad. So they take him out and boom, that's it. That's how prison is. Prison incidents are like that, you know. Shit goes down, you see it, you're watching it, you're like, damn, that's crazy. And they take the guy who did it out, they take the victim out, doors closed, they bring the workers out, they mop shit up, clean it up, put some spray bottles, you know, clean the blood up, and that's it, man. That night they'll have new people in that cell, and that's it. That's what it is. Unless it's a good crime scene, they'll close it for like a few days or like a week or something. But other than that, it's here 1 minute and it's gone the next. So that's how that was. You know, I seen it. I was like, damn, I wonder what he did. You know. So the next day, my cellie, the one that was like doing life at that time, and he was young, but he was kind of like tripping because he seen that I was kind of involved with the gang leaders and in the other buildings and shit. So, but I wasn't doing much, you know, in my opinion. I was just sending the guy on shit. It wasn't like nothing crazy, but this dude was looking at me like I was some fucking, I don't know. He was just looking at me kind of crazy. So the next day, um, they opened my door and it's some officers in front of my door. I'm looking at them like, damn, what the hell, you know, what do these fools want, you know? So they open the door and they tell me, turn around. So I'm like, well, why? They're like, you're going to the hole. So I'm like, what the fuck am I going to the hole for? They just look, man, you'll know when you get to the cage. Just turn around, cuff up. You're going to be up.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I turn around, cuff up. They take me to the hole. So when I got my 114, I was tripping out on it. You know, I was like, damn, what the fuck? I read it, and I was being charged with conspiracy to commit murder, ordering an attempted murder, and then prison gang association. And I was like, damn, what the fuck? You know, so I look at it, and I get to the hole. You know, I go to the hole, and they ask me for my 114, and I shoot it to them, and they're looking at me like, damn.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
They're like, what the fuck did you do? You know, and the guy who actually did the hit that I'm going to the hole for, because they're charging me. They're saying that I was involved with that, which I wasn't. That was his shit. But he's laughing. He thinks it's funny. He's like, "Oh, that's fucked up." And he's right there, like, man, you know, sucks to be you. So, right, you want me to give you a call back, James?
Yeah, we got like two more calls that you could do, or no, maybe three. But definitely two for sure.
Okay.
Go
All
for
right,
it.
I'll call back on that.
All right, and Iceman, I do see your question here. I'll go ahead and ask him the question right now. As soon as he calls back, I just have I think like two more messages that I gotta read off, and then I'll go ahead and ask him your question. And I want to go ahead and welcome David. He says it's very interesting, great story. Yeah, it's a real nail biter here. It got me in suspense. Just a bunch of twists and turns and whatnot. And normally these type of stories are. Previous to me starting this the YouTube channel, I was a heavy consumer of YouTube content, especially the prison content. So I wanted to bring something a little bit different. So there he is.
call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, David.
Rogers.
All right, so
Yep.
I have a few more comments for you here. All right, so
That's
um,
cool.
the next comment I have from here on the chat is going to be from Jeremy Smith, and he puts, "I listen to all the channels, and this is by far the best one. You do great work. Um, really, really, that's really encouraging, and that's going to motivate me to keep on pushing and coming up with new ways to improve the channel and whatnot. Really appreciate that, Jeremy Smith. And
That's
then we
cool.
also have
Shout out to Jeremy Smith.
no doubt. And then we have
Mm-hmm.
another comment from Fresh, and he puts "Sup everybody." And then we have a comment from your sister, Vanessa. She put "Love you, brother. We're
Yeah,
listening. 100, 100," and with a little emoji and a little heart.
that's cool, man. My sister, that's my boo right there.
That's right.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's nice when
Yeah.
family gets in here and they and they support. And I have one other question from Elias man, and he puts since the end of his hostilities, does he have a different outlook on Northerners? Also, would he be able to change like he has on the active side? I'm not sure about that, but if it makes sense to you, can
Yeah,
you answer that question there?
it does. It
Okay,
it
okay.
it does. And the crazy part is, I kick it with a lot of Northerners now. Like it's funny because there was a time where I didn't have a bad outlook towards Northerners anyway. It's just it was what it was. They were what they were. I was what I was, and I was willing to do whatever I had to do in regards to representing my organization. And it's now that I've actually got along with Northerners pretty good. Like when I was in the hole, even the guys that I had riots against, like we always chopped it up, man. We had good conversations and stuff like that. And when our homies would come around, we would act like we weren't talking and shit, but we were. But after I changed and I got my life on track, I started to. It was crazy because I play a lot of handball in here. That's what I do, man. That's my sport. And I started playing handball with a lot of the guys from they were from up north, but I don't ask people where they're from no more. Like honestly, I don't even care. Like if somebody wants to tell me where they're from, I'll be interested in just hearing about where their hometown and what it's like and stuff. But as far as like regional affiliation and stuff like that, that doesn't hold no sway over my decisions anymore, or including who I hang out with. So I was playing handball with a lot of guys, right? And there was like 6 or 7 of them, and I seen a guy with a giant P on him. And honestly, be honest with you, like I know the P's, I know the Puentes, the Pasa.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I know the Pacoimas and the Pomonas. So I'm like, he's probably one of the 4 P's, and I'm sure there's more. And I was like, he's probably from one of those P's. They represent, a lot of them have P's on them and stuff. So I seen him and I'm chilling. And I was like, damn, but his haircut, his haircut stood out to me. I was like, damn, this dude's got a pretty fresh haircut. But I just didn't. I was like, it's probably new wave. A lot of guys get lined up now and stuff like that. And then the new wave cholos, they look a little different. But turns out that he's from Paso Robles. He's from up north. From Paso or something. There's a P on him. And I tripped out on that. I was like, damn, fool, this whole time, I thought you're from over here, but I don't even know the difference no more. And I tripped out that he's like, yeah, he goes, all of us right here that you're around, we're all from up there. And I was like, that's cool. So I was just chilling with them all the time, and we would chop it up, and a lot of guys from SAC and stuff. But my northern brothers, man, are straight with me, man. Good, man. If you got good conversation and you're on the path of right and the path of change, and you're a genuine individual, man, you're all right with me. Even the guys who aren't on that path, I don't look at them as I just look at them as they're suffering, man, they're hurting, man, and they just need that. They need to have the realization that I had for me to change. But I don't look at them as they're evil and stuff like that. I just look at it like, man, they're not there yet. I don't judge them, but I have to do what I gotta do, and I gotta stick with my path. And then as far as being in the main line, the problem is with that is that things change the drop of a dime over there. So every single friendship, relationship, and the camaraderie, and, that you develop over there with certain individuals, if they're from a different faction, you have to stay under the realization that this person may kill you one day. You may have to kill them, or you may have to get off on them. Like if something changes, because you don't make those decisions over there. Gang leaders make those decisions, and you go with the flow, whatever's acceptable, whatever's approved, and all that other good stuff. If you want to, you can associate with each other, stuff like that. But if the decision is made, you're gonna have to do what you got to do, or you're gonna have to leave. You're gonna have to duck out. And that's something that's a scary thing. Because the people that are over there, you don't want to take your friendships to the next level over there because of that, and that's even within your own organization. It's scary to be in here with somebody that you care about, a family member, someone that you love, because you develop friendships in here. A lot of people say, oh, there's no friends in prison, and that's just unreasonable, man. I make friends wherever the hell I go, including in prison. And it's scary to think that I might have to get my friend out of a life or death situation or lose my life in the process. So I think that might shine a little bit of clarity on it. It's just, yes, you can have friends over there, but it's very, very, be prepared to be hurt in the process. It's better to stay detached from a lot of things. In when you're in that situation.
Thank you,
So
thank you for answering that question, David. I still have a few more comments. I want to read them off
yep,
before you continue. But
no problem. No,
we have a comment from David, and he puts a very interesting, great story. And then Eliasman puts, could you imagine Jesse and David as Sellies? Man, we're definitely gonna have to get you both on the line at the same time, and I'm pretty sure the audiences are gonna have a lot of questions for you guys. So we're gonna
yeah.
have to
Hey,
definitely
the
set that
audience,
up.
Jeff. The audience said that. Can you imagine? I'm telling my Shelly that right now. The audience said, "Can you imagine Jesse and David as Shelly?" They're like, "Man, we got to get them on the line together." Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, you want to know, you want to know something crazy, and I want you guys to know, just in case we run out of time, because I know I was talking to Ricky, and for the listeners that have been doing this for a while with you, there's a guy on there named Ricky. You know who I'm talking about, right, James? He does a
Yeah, no
podcast
doubt.
with you.
Yeah.
Ricky. Okay, Ricky Black. So Ricky Black, that's one of my boys right there. He's in my support network. He's in my social circle, and my story ties in with Ricky's. And because when and I'm going to get into that later, but I want you guys to know that me and Ricky met in a fight. We met in a fight. Yeah, and he's that actually turned out to be one of my closest friends here. I'm with him all the time. I work out with him. He's one of my accountability partners. He's one of my mentors. And the first time I met Ricky, they accidentally opened the door too far, letting my cellie out to go get medication, and I slipped out with my cellie, and we attacked Ricky. And he did good though. I'm not gonna say we didn't fuck Ricky up by far, so I don't want no one thinking that. Ricky handled his, man. He handled his like a seasoned pro, man. He was sticking to moving and everything, man. He gave us the business, man, for having two guys on him. So I want to give him kudos on that. But the crazy part is that Ricky, though, we didn't even recognize each other when we came into contact with each other. I looked at him, he looked at me, and we're like, man, we know each other from somewhere, but why do we know each other? And when we told him, we had to mention where we were at and stuff like that, and then all the aliases came up, and our minds were blown, man, because the people that we are today, we give off nothing but joy, nothing but love, nothing but just positive energy. And those two individuals that got into it all those years ago are the two people that are here today. So that's an interesting thing, man, to know that Ricky's doing this with you also.
Yeah, all you guys are,
But
it,
yeah,
and it's definitely a trip, and I'm pretty sure the audience and I can't wait to to hear that story, as far as what with Ricky and whatnot. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure you got some bangers coming
yeah.
our way.
Yeah, I'm proud of Ricky, man. For everything. But yeah, that ties in later, man, because this was so you guys got me in okay, you guys got me back in the hole right now. I'm being locked up now for conspiracy to commit murder, ordering an attempted murder, and prison gang association. And I'm tripping out on that because, like, damn, like I've never really, like, This is the young skater. This is the kid in juvenile hall fighting over the leva bag. But the crazy part about that 114, about that lockup order, is there was actual gang leaders back there in the hole at that time because reception center, those guys go there. They go there and they do their reception time all in the hole. What they used to in those days. So there was guys coming down from Pelican Bay, going out to LA County Jail, and it was a hub right there. So they're seeing this kid come in, and I'm there for something like that, and I'm supposedly associated with them, and they're laughing. They think it's funny because they know it's not true. Like, they don't know me, I don't know them. I've never met anybody like that before. Through my cellie, through Jesse, I've heard stories about, I recognize some of the names and stuff like that, but that's all right. That's my only interest. So I'm back there because I'm supposedly associated with these guys, and I never knew one. I never knew one before. So they think it's funny. Like, it became like a joke. Like, oh, this kid's fucked. They're like, man, say goodbye to the main line, and because you can't, if you're associated with them and you're having shit like that, you're not leaving the hole. So they're just giving me jokes. They're just
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
yeah. So they're not really like. And well, the crazy part is I landed next door to one, and I landed in the vent with one. The vent right here is like our telephone. Like, you can talk to your neighbors in the vent next door to you, and downstairs there's 4 cells connected to one vent. And you could just talk just like if you're talking to us right now. You hear each other perfectly. So I landed with one of the gang leaders in my vent. And like I said, I don't know what's the norm. I don't know how to talk to these guys a certain way. I'm just me. I'm just David. I went by something else at that time, but I'm still that dude in there. And I'm yelling down and I'm talking to him, and we're just shooting the shit, man. Like, we're old friends. Like, I'm talking to him about sports and music, and I'm just somebody else in the hole. They're in the hole. I'm in the hole. This dude ain't got a celly. I got a celly, but he's on some high power shit. And me and this dude are shooting the shit. And this dude took a liking to me. He took a liking to me because of that, and I didn't realize it at the time. Because my celly tried to get up in the vent, and he was like, "Oh man, so and so, whoop de whoop," and he threw extras on it. Like, he was an OG. He was an OG, and he was a grouch, but he was all right. So he gets into the vent, he represents his gang. He does a whole little freaking checklist of things to say to these guys, and the guy that he was talking to, which was the gang leader, he calls up to him. He's like, "Hey man, it's nice to meet you, but do me a favor, put the youngster back on." And that I seen right away his face got red, and he was kind of like looking at me like, you could tell like he just got slighted in some way, and I don't understand that. So I go back to the vent, and he's just like, "Yeah, anyways, So we're talking about like, I want to know, because this guy's coming down from Pelican Bay going to LA County Jail, so I want to know what the fuck it's like to be doing life in Pelican Bay shoe. I'm not stupid enough to ask him about gang business and shit, because I don't even know what to ask. I want to know what the fuck you do all day, like, I know what I did in the hole. I sat there twiddling my thumbs for freaking months waiting for my shoe term to come up, but I want to know what's it like to beat up there he was up there for like 15, 16 years at that time. He was sentenced to a life sentence, so he was going to do it all up there. And I'm curious. I'm like, what the fuck you do all day? So anyway, me and this dude hit it off, man. He became my boy. I'm talking to him, but I didn't realize at the time that was involving me kind of in their circle. People were kind of like, okay, well, this is this guy's kid, now I'm in charge of things. He's like, look, man, I left you in charge. And okay, so in those years, the AdSeg yards and they were like the shoe yards. They had group yards. They weren't like they weren't cages. Like, they have these dog cages, and that's what I call them. They're like cages that are like the size of cells. And when you're in the hole, you go into those cages, and you're basically just running around in circles. There's nowhere to go, man. You're just in a cell with no bunk and no lockers. And that's just way out. But in those years, we all went.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, we went to yard together. So, James, you want me to call back for another one?
Yeah. We got one more.
Okay, call back.
All right, and I do see the comment on there from Ella. I'll go ahead and read that off, and then I see the question that Fish Slayer SoCal put, so I'll definitely read that right now as soon as he calls back. And also stay blessed. Really appreciate it. And I'll go ahead and read that comment off to him once he gets back on the line. And anything else that comes in, then I'll get to it. I'm not ignoring it. It's just kind of hard to read up these comments and whatnot. When somebody's in the middle of telling their story. So normally I tend to wait till we get a break. When we get the 60-second mark from the GTL lady, and then when they normally call back, I'll go ahead and read off the messages. And there he is.
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
David Lopez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, David.
Yes,
All right, so I got some
yes,
more
sir.
comments for you here. I definitely don't want to
All right.
miss out on these comments here. So we got
Yeah.
one from Ella. She puts, "Brother, we love you. You have come so far. So proud of you."
Yep. Thank you. Yep. That's my sister-in-law. The crazy part is, I thought I heard my brother's name earlier when you gave a shout out, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, my brother's listening right now. I just want to let him know I love him too. And everything I do right now, my changes is all for my family. I love my family, and they're the ones that help me pull myself out of the madness. But they have a big part to play in how I am today and who I am today.
That's right. And a shout
Want
out
to
to your
give them.
family, for helping you out with that.
Yep. Yep.
And then we
So
got we
yeah.
got
So
we have a
yep. Go
question
ahead.
from Fish Slayer SoCal. He put, "What
Uh
advice
huh.
can David give to the youth to stay on the right path?"
The youth that Okay, say that again. The youth that are to help them stay on the right path.
Yeah, to stay on the right path. Yeah. So what kind of advice, for somebody that maybe is thinking about going down that route, or is
The
at that fork?
the biggest thing that I could say for the youth that are thinking about going down that path, man, is just understand that it's not what you think. It feels good to see them like me. I was heavily influenced by watching like Nothing But a G Thing. Them old '90s rap songs and where dudes are hitting switches and what I'm saying. I remember the girls and the gin and juice and all that shit. Like that shit was stimulating to me, to my young mind. I was thinking, man, I want to be right there with the homies. I want to freaking wear this and that. I want to smoke weed. But it's not that. Let me tell you this. This game, this the gang life and the wrong path. It's murder, man. It's murder. It's death. It's you losing your loved ones, man. Like I lost, me and Jess, man. We've lost a lot of people. We got homies of ours that they're dead. That's what that is. You're gonna bury your friends, and it happens to everybody. It's not something that we all have these stories. So understand this: the people that you get into this lifestyle with, they're gonna die, man. You're gonna watch them die. You're gonna watch them go to prison for life. You're gonna go to prison for life, and you're gonna be around strangers trying to find your way home, until you figure it out. And drugs, meth, all those things, like they only feel good for a second, man. They don't. It doesn't last. You're gonna spend the rest of your life trying to chase that first high. It's. I wish that I could have done things differently. I'm trying to get back to where I was when I was that kid that was ready to take that wrong turn. So understand that no matter what you've done, you don't have to suffer for it. If you've hurt people, if you're a young kid and you've hurt people, if you've been hurt, it's not too late. You don't have to live in guilt and you don't have to live in shame. No matter what happens, even if it's abuse, if maybe these kids they kill people now. They've killed people back then when I was younger. Me and my cellie were both here for murder. We've killed people. And the thing is that there's nothing like facing our victims' families. I still think about what my victim's sister and mother told me during the sentencing. It wasn't hatred in their heart. It was pain. It was raw pain. They wanted me to feel what they felt, and that's what this lifestyle is. It's not all fun and games, man. The people that are you might and I don't want to say, oh well, they're not your friends and stuff like that. It's just look, it's it's not that simple. The people that you come into this lifestyle with, they're gonna be more than your friends. They're gonna be like your brothers. But understand that it's a misplaced love, man. Like you guys don't know how to be friends. You guys don't know how to be family. You still have a lot to learn. So I made a decision to join a gang at 13 years old. I got jumped in. The problem is that I was still hanging on to the same decisions as a gang member into my 30s. I was running around like a freaking that 13-year-old kid when I was in my 30s, still calling myself the same dumb name all those years ago. So just understand this, man, that there's always somebody there that can help you. You're not alone.
Thank
I
you for
hope that
that.
was able to. Yeah, I hope that was able to shed some light on that. Because that's a big question right there. We sit here.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Those of us that live this lifestyle, we sit here every day and we think about those kids, man. We think about the kids that we were, and everything we do right now is to try to help people when they get out of here. Try to help those kids. That's a long-standing question. Every single person that takes one of them kids under their wing and teaches them something good it's a win for us. We can't save them all, man, but we can try. We can try to save as many as we can.
Appreciate that, David. Appreciate you answering that question. And I have one last comment here, and then we'll go ahead and let you
Yep.
continue on your story here. So we
Okay.
have a comment from
Yep.
Stay Blessed. Want to welcome Stay Blessed.
Uh
First
huh.
time I see them tapping in, and he put I'm
Yep.
assuming it's a guy, but it's I just tapped in the channel. It's good to hear that you finally could see the truth about politics. I hope and wish you the best in your future. It's never too late to change. Stay blessed.
I agree, and thank you very much. And it ain't never too late to change, man. And yeah, it was an ugly realization, man. It hit me like a ton of bricks. But yeah, thank you very much for those comments, man.
All right, and
So
then the
I know we don't
microphone's
got
all
a lot of
yours.
yep. I know we don't got a lot of time left, so I'm gonna just run through my time in the whole in Delano. So yeah, I'm back there for this. I'm back there for this charge. It's what it is, though. Look, I didn't do the specific charge, but I was involved with that lifestyle. I take full responsibility for my place in that political system, and I got really really involved with the political side of it later on. But it all started with this trip to the hole, and this is when this is when I this is when I took my gangbanging and my political aspirations to the next level because I didn't even know that I had them at that time. I was just going with the flow, just a youngster, just putting in work in prison and just doing what I had to do, you know. But these guys, when this gang leader, he took a liking to me, and not just him. There were several of them there at that time. They had all come down on some case in LA County, and then there was another guy doing his reception time there. So when they took a liking to me, it awoke something inside of me. It made me think like, man, these are guys that they make movies about. These are guys you hear all these stories about. Like, this is the real deal right here, and the real deal is looking in my direction. They're asking me to do certain things. And the first thing was the group yards. Okay, so I was telling you about the group yards before the call ended. Well, the group yards, during those days, we all went to yard together. But this was this was like preparing for war. I was in good shape at that time. I was pretty cut up. I was willing to do the workouts. So the guy that I was close with, he put me in charge of those yards out there. So it was my job. We did organized militant workouts. So the militant workouts were I was in front and I had two. We were soldiers. We were at that time. Everybody back there, they're so dialed. They're soldiers. They're not. These aren't regular residents and stuff. Even the residents look like soldiers, but these guys are soldiers, for this particular organization. Everybody back there, even the guys from up north and stuff, these guys are with it. And our workouts were militant. Our workouts were very structured. Every time we went down to do a push-up, there was a cadence, there was counting. We were on point. If somebody messed up the count, we were back up again. We restarted. We did ridiculous amounts of burpees, of different types of push-up exercises, and everything was structured and it was loud. Like you can hear our yelling across the prison. It was everybody down one, down two. But it was in Spanish. Like everybody talked in Spanish. And during that time, we started talking in Nahua. We started our cadences were always in Nahua is a dialect of Aztec. So we had to learn how to count from 1 to 100 in Aztec. because that was like a coded message. It represented it. It was a brainwashing technique that tried to keep us like we were doing this for our culture. But realistically, we weren't doing this for our culture. We were doing it to install fear in our enemies. That's what we were doing. We wanted to be more organized. We wanted to be in better shape, and we wanted to have like the appearance of lethality, of being lethal. So that's why we did it, and it was all for power and control in these institutions.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So my job out there was to make sure that the workout was organized. Everybody had an opportunity to represent their body or their gangs, and we were tied in with the white gangs also were out there with us. So that's how I kind of got involved in that. Well, I did a good job at it. My name got out there a little bit. Those guys ended up leaving. They went back up to Pelican Bay. I ended up staying there with one of them. We got pretty tight, and once again, I got a 26-month shoot term. They ended up reducing my charge to some crazy charge. I forgot what it was, like some assault with great bodily injury or some crazy shit like that. And they tied it in just like if I had done it. Well, when it went in front of the prison administrators, because they have to confirm everything. There's like an outside organization not an outside organization. It's like a unit. It's called CSR. It's a special unit that reviews shoot terms and stuff like that. So this was in 2005. So one day I go to committee, I get my shoot term. I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna go to the shoe, just do my time there, and that's what it is, I'll pro for the shoe. And one day they told me that CSR kicked back my 115, kicked back my gang validation, because they said that if they didn't have enough points to validate me at that time, but you had to have 3 points to get validated at that time for Prison Gang Association. So they gave me one, and they said CSR is not allowing the 115 to go through, which is the prison write-up, because they said there's not enough evidence, and they released me from the hole. So I'm coming out of the hole now, back into the reception center, and before I was the little guy who was controlling just a little section or building, just helping out. Well, now I came out with the whole yard, and I was involved with running the entire institution because I knew people now. So it wasn't a secret, like everybody knew what it was. I came out of the hole, the cops were like, fuck, everybody was like, man. So I liked it though, because I started to feel confident in myself, I started to feel like this is maybe who I was supposed to be, it was, I suddenly had control of my life. I made the decisions. I decided who came, who went. I was the one that was going to be making the calls. I was the one that was going to be working, for these people. And it was a sobering realization, to realize that, like, fuck, like this is what it is. I'm in the big leagues now, and so I ended up staying there. Didn't have any problems really, but the prison couldn't wait to get me out of there. So they ended up transferring me to a place called Soledad, which is an older prison up by San Francisco. It's up there somewhere. I think it's actually called Monterey County. Yeah, but what is it called? It's called like Represa, California. No, the Represa is New Folsom. Soledad, just Soledad, huh? Yeah. Yeah, so it's up there by Salinas Valley State Prison, yeah. So I get to the Soledad, and man, this prison. So remember, I'm rolling with some juice now, like I get to the yard, and it's like, in my mind, I was somebody now, and I didn't talk about it, but I just had that air of arrogance about me. Like when I got to that yard and I was looking at these guys, I was like, man, like who the fuck's this? Who gave you that? Like I just had that attitude about me, and I tripped out because Soledad was like an old school prison. It had that old school feel about it. Like you could tell, like there was a lot of people that got murked, got killed in Soledad. There was cops on the rooftops with Mini 14s. That's the first time I seen somebody get stopped by the cops and they ran across the yard to try to flush something, and I seen like 10 cops chasing them, like it was the streets, like LAPD was chasing this motherfucker, running across the yard. Went to the toilet area, just got tackled, but tried to flush something, and there was a lot of drugs around. A lot of the gangs were there. The Northerners were there too. They were a little bit. They were very. What I noticed about the Northerners on those yards is that they were very militant. Oh, actually, every yard I've been on, the Northerners have always been real militant. But this yard, Um, there was just maybe because it was a prison up north, but there was more like it
You have 60 seconds remaining.
seemed like they were really organized up there, But all right, James. Well, I know this is gonna cut us off right now.
All right, David. I appreciate you. You calling in and tapping in, and obviously we might be doing a 3, 4, or part 5. So I don't even think we're
Yep.
halfway through your story. So definitely, tap in right
Not
now. When the call hangs
not
up,
even.
can you call me back? Because I want to talk to you for a minute, and then I want to go ahead and thank the audience, for tapping in and listening
Yep.
to his story, and also thank him for calling
Want
in. But we
Yeah, I
do have
want
some
to
others.
want to thank all our.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I
So
want to thank all the listeners, man. I think it's gonna cut you off right now. I want to
okay.
thank everybody, man, that was a part of this journey with me so far. But yeah, if it cuts us off, man, I'll call back right now, and
Okay.
yeah, man, I can't wait to tell the rest of my story.
Okay, perfect. Call me back. All right, it cut off. So all right then, guys. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and whatnot. So he should we'll bring him on sometime this week, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'm gonna talk to him right now when he calls me back, and we do have Ricky Black coming on at 6:30. So I set up a stream already. As soon as he calls me, then we'll go live. Sometimes it might not be exactly at 6:30, but it'll be somewhere on that time. So definitely tap in, and if you have any questions for Ricky, just be ready with them. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream now, and you guys go ahead and have a good night. Appreciate you guys tuning in.